Hello, everybody, and welcome again to TableTakes. Today is August 6th. I hope you guys are getting ready to stream that Suicide Squad. Oh, no, sorry. The Suicide Squad goodness, as Jeeyon was telling me earlier. Because I was like, why can't I Google this?
It's the old one's just Suicide Squad. And the new one is The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I get that they're trying to distance themselves from the previous one, so they can't do number 2 or whatever. But yeah, it is super confusing.
Pretend it didn't happen. Sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of things did happen in a lot of theater, like the Avatar live action movie never happened.
Nope, never happened.
Never ever happened.
I tried to convince someone that that was to watch that movie if they wanted to learn about Avatar.
Oh God, you did, but I
forget what that was.
Was it noir? Was it noir? No, it wasn't noir. It wasn't noir.
Was it Isabella?
Isabella.
Oh, maybe
yeah,
it was Isabella.
Yeah. That was the one you were trying to convince. And I was like, no, don't listen. But as it is, we allow people to make their own decisions and scar. If Emma wants to scar people from life by making them watch,
I regret that. I apologize. Uncalled for.
Well, I mean, in other things, Emma, do you have any exciting news that's going to be happening in your life?
Yeah, I'm going on a plane and I'm going to Los Angeles, and I've not been on a plane for a very long time. Usually in a normal year I travel a lot for conventions and work and stuff, but have not been doing that, so this is the first time. It's going to be weird, it's going to be scary, but I'm going to visit some family, so it's going to be good.
That sounds so sweet.
Yeah.
And it's not a far, it's like maybe 2 hours tops plane ride.
Yeah
And as long as you remember, if you guys are going to be doing anything outside, wear a mask, wash your hands, and then say, no, this is my no square.
Hollywood, Emma Larkin. Yeah. We're gonna, Burbank is apparently very close to Hollywood. I don't know where stuff is.
It is.
Okay. Are those the hills or the thing? Because my brother and sister-in-law have a house right there, are renting a house kind of right there near.
Right along the highway.
Yeah.
See a lot of hills.
We're gonna stay home. We're gonna maybe go to the beach a few times, go for some walks. So it's gonna be good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does. Excited. It sounds fun. And then we're going to see all the pictures on Instagram of Emma being Hollywood lounging, Hollywood starlet lounging about with the artichokes in her arm right here. Cleverly placed artichokes everywhere. Oh, all right. So, Jeeyon, what about you? What have you been up to, my friend?
Well, I have been up to a lot of D&D lately. I recently bought myself a printer. I have been sort of just avoiding having to do that, but I like handouts, and we're playing in person again. So everybody comes over. I'm like, here's a thing. Also, here's a map. And also I got my customized GM screen. And I got my big folder. I'm just pulling random tables out of my folder and just feeling like my true dungeon master is coming out.
that organization skill though sounds so attractive. Be like, ooh yeah, you file that, organize that folder.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm also starting
sheets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff online. And Emma, the stuff that you got me, the third party stuff. Yeah. The PDFs. Mm-hmm. I put them in that binder that you got me to organize all of them. So I'm just I love this thing you got me.
That's awesome.
Emma and I, we give each other these gifts, and we just use them.
You know what? The gift of sealing character sheets too, in this what is it when you seal the
laminate?
Paper? Laminate.
I have a laminator. It is so great. I just like to put stuff through it because it's so fun. If you ever want to borrow it anytime, Jeeyon, just let me know because it is the funnest thing.
Yes,
I'll
that
laminate
dry erase marker on it.
Yeah, you just put it through there and it seals up and it comes out and it's I don't know, I love it.
I'm a sucker.
It's so good, especially if you have card games too. You just run it through the laminate, just laminate all your cards. I think we might have a problem with all of the laminating everything. We like it clean and sterilized here.
Organization, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, so I guess all I did this week, if you guys remember, we had a charity stream last week, Monstrosity. Everybody apparently was very surprised that I could draw. Then never came up the question of whether or not I did want to be a graphic artist at a certain point in my life. And so, yeah, I was like, all right, I could doodle, I could sketch, and then everybody's getting mad at me. I'm like, what? No one asked me if we're supposed to tell us.
In retrospect, we should have known based on your tweets that you're an artist.
Yeah.
Like, we should have known this whole time.
I'm sad I missed it. I'll have to go back and look at the replay.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I'll declare it. Everybody won that round. Everybody won.
Everyone in my heart.
Absolutely.
In my heart.
Thank you for voting for my big boy that I made for you. I'm glad you liked it.
It was very cute. Oh, also, speaking of things that, winners in all of our hearts and all the way around the world, some people are getting recognized lately. Emma, who's being recognized now, today? All the good stuff.
I'm very excited to announce that Jeeyon Shim is named the 2021 Diana Jones Emerging Designer Program winner. I'm very excited. Jeeon's work is very near and dear to my heart. She makes amazing experiential, mostly solo games, journaling games. A lot of her Kickstarters are email games. So she emails prompts for the games, and you might not even get a physical thing where you can get the PDF, but the game is these kind of ephemeral experiences that are timed and last for a certain amount of time. And you go through the prompts and just like really amazing character building, world building. And then she also includes sometimes just like physical ephemera. So like leaves and feathers and things at the different levels, or like really cool just boxes and containers and things. So just really, really love all the stuff that Jeeyon is doing with game design. Very groundbreaking, very original work. So it's really cool to see this award. The Emerging Designer Program is actually very recent, apparently just started this year. And that makes sense because we talked about the Diana Jones Awards before, but never this Emerging Designer Program. So it's really cool to see up and coming designers in the space. I think it's really important to recognize people who are doing, often the newer designers are doing really cool, groundbreaking stuff. Although like, my one caveat is, calling Jeeyon Shim an emerging designer. I'm like, I guess so, but I feel she's just made so many amazing things. I'm like, I don't know. She seems like just a cool, badass, like top tier new designer.
What is some of Jeeyon's other stuff?
So it was just like everything from the Kickstarters, the Shape of Shadows, the Gideon Blythe one. I think she did one of the hibernation games. I might be wrong about that. But she does like little things too. Like there's this Happy Camper game that I talked about.
I remember.
It's like a postcard game, and you make a tent with it, and there's a little prompt for like really emotional stuff. You make a little campsite around the tent, and then on the inside of it, you write, your tiny person is here because they fled their deepest shame. What is it? Write it here. So it's just emotional. Like very like heart touching, just fascinating, and like really pushing the boundaries of what game design is, which I'm a huge fan of it. Oh yeah, the stuff in here, the Field Guide to Memory, Last Will and Testament of Gideon Blythe. Those are the ones. They're keepsake solo journaling RPGs. She coined the term keepsake games, where the idea is that at the end of the game you have things, you have artifacts that you have created based on this. They're journals. She encourages you to like press flowers and different things so that you created a thing about the game, which kind of ties back to what you're saying, Jeeyon, about role-playing games and about having the physical pieces of that. And as you progress through the game, you build up this personal collection of things and items. So I wanted to mention briefly the other finalists. which again, like Jeeyon, follow her on Twitter because she does amazing things on Twitter. Yeah. And when she won the award, was very quick to recognize all of the other finalists and was familiar with their work. So that's really cool to see too. A lot of these people are very closely knit and part of a community, you know? So it's like, not just, oh, I won the award, I don't know who these other people are. So yeah, other finalists include Gabe Hicks, game designer for Roll20, notably responsible for the CMM 5e alternative character creation tool. He's worked with Paizo, Critical Role, Mage Hand Press, and more.
His name sounds really familiar, yeah.
Mythic Grove. Yeah, we've had him on the show before.
Yeah, that's why. Okay.
Yeah. A group which highlights small creators and does streaming stuff as well, I believe. Again, the list of achievements of these creators, I want to say emerging designers. I don't know. This is an emerging designer. It's like, I don't even know what I guess just people, and that's the thing, like so many of these newer creators are doing so many things so quickly. They might have only been on the scene, quote unquote, for 3 or 4 years, but have already made a huge impact, which is really cool to see.
They're hitting the ground running. You say they're like, all right, let's go.
Absolutely. And which I want to make a quick note about, like a lot of times we talk about people from marginalized backgrounds as creators, and often they have to work harder in order to get any sort of recognition. So you look at their list of stuff, all of these people like, wow, they've made so many things. It's like, yeah, because they had to in order to, like, they had to hit the ground running, you know, so it's not even necessarily by choice. Up next, we have Jennifer Kretschmer, creator of the Accessibility and Gaming Resource Guide and Disabled Professionals in Tabletop Directory. She's contributed to Candlekeep Mysteries. Her likeness has been used in TTRPG related products. So really working to improve accessibility in gaming, which is really important. And Omari Keel, who I can't talk about enough, we talked about recently, co-founder of Colorway Game Labs, because their game company, Board Game Brothers, is now Colorway Labs, who's done Rap Gods and Hoop Gods, current president of the IGDN Indie Game Developer Network, also made, I think, a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air game recently. So just amazing creator. Was also featured last year by the Diana Jones Award as part of the Black Excellence in Gaming category, which we did call out as, and several of the people who were supposedly honored by this award called it out as, hey, you know, you can't just lump all Black people together into an excellence award. That's not cool. And people did have a problem with it, and they did call it out. And that's something we want to say, like, not cool, but they are continuing to hopefully fix the error of their ways and honor individual people of color. So I
think this is a great start, but like you said, a lot of these people are known in their various different communities, and they just wanted to go ahead. I think this is maybe just their starting off point, and then maybe later on, as the years go by and as they develop more and more people, maybe we'll start seeing more and more and discovering new faces. So it'll be fun. So right path. Good job, Diana Jones. After that trip up, you're starting to like get on your feet pretty good.
Hopefully come around. Learn from your mistakes. People can learn from their mistakes if they put in the work.
If they put in the work. But you know what? I feel like also some people could just betray you at any point, right, Jeeyon? They could just like stab you in the back and then leave you out hanging out to dry. I don't know. Do you know anything that might?
What are you trying to say, Bonsai? Are you trying to say something, or are you trying to say something about me? You may have heard of a small little novella.
Jeeyon is the spy.
I'm the imposter.
Never trust.
You might have heard of a small little short story called Dune. Ever heard of it? No, maybe.
No, maybe.
It's got like a movie, tons and tons of followers and books and lore, and it's got an RPG. It's got a couple board games. Like it's pretty big. Well, they have a social deduction game that's going to be releasing around the same time as the movie Dune Imperium that's coming out. So it is or maybe it's actually not Dune Imperium. It's a Dune movie. So it is a social deduction kind of party game, more of a intrigue game, really. You need at least 4 players to play it, and it plays up to 8 players, which I think is pretty cool. So it's going to be designed by the same designer who designed Resistance and Avalon. If that tells you anything about the gameplay, you're going to be taking on the role of either House Atreides, or you're going to be playing as secret Harkonnen agents trying to sabotage the Atreides family. So yeah, you are apparently going to be able to play this around October, which I think is pretty cool. And I think there's going to be like player roles, not roles, abilities, like depending on which character you choose. But you're also going to have like special traits that can sort of switch around depending on which game, how many times you played it, or not rather how many times, but one game to the next rather. So you're trying to form alliances with people to see like who is on your side, who's also an Atreides, or like who's also a Harkonnen, and trying to slowly suss out like who the spies are and get the missions to pass more often than they fail, and convince other people not to trust certain people and things like that. All the intrigue that you've seen in like Avalon.
Oh, I wonder if this is going to play like Crew. Just thinking about how you describe that game, it sounds very much like Crew.
Yeah.
The card game. That's
the trick taking one. Yeah. I think the Crew is a little bit more cooperative, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, it's more cooperative.
Whereas this one's like semi-cooperative, so it's gonna have like secret agents and stuff like that. It's also gonna feature a lot of the art from the movie that's coming out, just like Dune Imperium, the board game. So I think people are gonna be able to play this one a little bit more easily than some of the other games in the past that they've made sort of around the movie, like the recent Dune game that came out, Dune Imperium. These are kind of like bigger games, like the Dune RPG. They kind of take a little bit more commitment to get into, whereas like this kind of party game, I feel like it's going to be a lot more accessible to people.
All right, yeah, no, that's definitely something to look forward to, and it's made note that it's released in October, and that's exactly when the movie is going to be coming out. So I'm excited.
It's scheduled to come out.
It's scheduled to come out on my birthday. How dare you try to jinx it? This is my birthday present. My birthday present is Dune. Thank you.
We've talked about on the show before how the Dune IP is not my favorite. Had issues with it. The only book that I've ever not finished because of certain things that happened in the book. And I was a child. I could probably read it now and it'd be fine. But I kind of think this game is going to be a slam dunk. I mean, I just have a feeling about it, like a Resistance style game. The Resistance already super popular. Avalon, all very popular. Kind of generic though. I think taking the social deduction thing, putting some new interesting mechanics on it, and putting it in an IP that a lot of people do like, and especially after the movie comes out, even more people, I'm sure there are plenty of people who haven't read the book who are going to watch the movie. So I could see this being very exciting and very popular.
Totally agree. I think that's probably my only criticism of the Resistance and like Avalon games. They are really good. I just wish I had more information to go off of. I wish I had more control in the game. But not just what I say, but like I can spend actions to like peek at people's cards, or like like switch people's cards around. Not their like identity roles, but maybe like their traits and the things that they're allowed to do. Giving players more control in the game, I think, is going to be a huge selling point.
Exactly. And I'm making a deduction game that has more of a framework, which a lot of them these days, like Blood on the Clock Towers, really blew up and people really enjoyed because more structure. The Resistance came out earlier and was less structured. And if you are with people who know how to play, or people who are just kind of good at these games, you can have a good experience, but it can be tough if you've never done that before. So I'm
so happy we have frequent beef in the chat. Always so helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know that's Derek.
Yeah, I know, of course. Yeah.
all the things. But
surprisingly knowledgeable about board games.
Maybe. Speaking about more things coming up, I don't know if you guys know this. Steve Aoki, or I think I pronounced that right. Aoki.
Sounds good.
Aoki is basically starting a trading card game. If you guys don't know, Steve Aoki is a DJ, music producer, also big fan of tabletop card games. Like most recently, I guess he got super ultra like notable for spending about $420,000 on an ultra rare illustration of Pikachu last year, and basically does a lot of live streams, opening up like unboxing, card opening, pack openings of all the various different card games that he collects. He even owns his own LA-based trading card game shop called Coffee Breakers. I mostly just know him for like taking big giant pieces of cake and throwing it at people.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, hey, cool. I learned more things about him. But apparently now he's going to be taking the plunge directly into like TCG world by joining MetaZoo as a co-founder and partner. So MetaZoo is like, think of it kind of like Pokemon, but more of crypt creatures like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, all those type of like creatures. It was MetaZoo kickstarted their game Crypt Nation back in August 2020. I believe that game, like it was still a successful card game, like Kickstarter, getting about like 18,000 if I remember correctly. Not necessarily like the super amount, like, you know, when you're like, oh, this new hotness, it like blows up and it goes like 5,000% over its budget. So hopefully, I think they're thinking that with his like endorsement and him coming onto the scene, that maybe they'll go ahead and boost up this like sales and everything. As we see more and more of these like celebrities that are outside of like traditional gaming and convention work, how do you guys feel about that? Like these like other like people that grow in notoriety for other things like acting, music, and then you found out secret nerd in the shadows. Like, you know, how do you feel about them coming into this space?
I feel like I see it all the time. Like I feel like people who are already in the industry, who have like a foothold, have more opportunity than most to branch out and have their followers follow them. You know, and they can try out new things, and you know, if you have the support of loyal fans going with you on any journey that you're taking, you take a lot more risks and you can like follow a lot more of your passions, I suppose.
There's something, I want to say, this is going to sound weird, but almost a little safe about doing a nerdy type thing.
Yeah.
Like, because musicians, movie stars, whatever, are cool, right? Like most have like the cool factor. And sometimes when they try to do other cool things, like they try to, a movie star tries to be a musician, or like a musician tries to be a movie star or something, it can fall flat and some stars get like made fun of or whatever. But it's like, if you're doing something nerdy is cool now, I don't know. It's like Vin Diesel with Dungeons and Dragons, like that only made him cool. Like nobody saw that and was like, oh, nerds, you know, everyone was like, wow. Now I like him even more. You know, it's just something about getting into nerd stuff that's super in right now.
Yeah.
The trading card game thing is funny too, because trading card games, as a designer, knowing how the industry works, like it's so hard to make trading card games work because it's very expensive. You have to have the packaging to get things in. You need to do the packages really well so people can't like know what's in them. Launching something and make it be very successful it's very competitive, but it's like a startup, right? It's very hard to make it big, but if you make it, you are going to make it big. You know, Magic the Gathering, just millions and millions of dollars. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all very successful. It's a very competitive space, and it seems like the kind of thing celebrities would want to get into, because it's like, you know, you don't want to be a celebrity and make like a little $1,000 Kickstarter, like a little mini game that's kind of doesn't go anywhere. It's like you want to make a trading card game and be like the new hotness that
make a burger company,
the magic
like
killer. Yeah. Basically, nerd stuff. Oh yeah, Henry Cavill and his PC rig, which Jay Sizzle was talking about.
Yeah.
in the chat.
So people have motives, some some very clear motives when it comes to
it's fun. It's fun seeing everyone in chat like going like, oh yeah, this celebrity endorsed this thing, so I'm here for that. It's cool. But no, this is a very interesting thing. And like Emma said, this is like like it's kind of interesting to say that betting on nerds is like a safe path. Like, hey, and I do like this acceptance of more and more like things that are quote unquote nerdy becoming more mainstream, because that just means I can go out to like Target and buy cheaper stuff that's for me. It's like when all those like Jurassic Park and other shirts came out at Walmart, I was I get all these shirts.
Yeah, once it comes to Target and Walmart, then you're like, okay,
we made it. We're in Target. Now we just need like D20s popping up everywhere. So
yeah,
that is cool. Well, I mean, from this like high news, I do have to bring you back to ground to earth, where we're starting to see some interesting developments pop up. Something called like virtually, robbed or something like that. What is that, Emma? What were you talking about earlier?
Well, we were lucky this week to get a lot of good news, because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes some weeks are not great. This week we have basically one of news on the sadder side. TMG, that's Taste Street Minstrel Games, is having some issues. We dug into it a little bit, and it's hard to say exactly what's happening. Some people, like I believe on the Dice Tower, they reported that Tasty Minstrel Games is no more. From the news we could find, they have reportedly laid off the staff, everyone except for the owner, halted game development after a virtual bankruptcy. So that seems like the company is going out of business, but apparently they haven't quite said that yet. And another thing, the backers of the most recent Kickstarter campaign, the deluxe version of the 2017 Emperor's Choice, are receiving refunds, and the publisher will not be making this. So they're canceling the creation of the games. No. At least they are refunding people. So that's nice to hear. Geek Dad as well had reported on this and talking about the ceasing of the game designs and laying the people off. We had talked about Tasty Minstrel Games recently, back in February. A Board Game Geek thread came up from designers saying, they tried everything. They've been trying since 2020, and this was in February 2021. So they've been trying for a year to contact the publishers and hadn't been getting their royalties. That was apparently resolved, but mostly the lack of communication, for just no information, just like, hey, royalties, usually we get these on a quarterly basis or 6-month basis, depending on your publisher. Mm-hmm. So they've had ongoing issues, and it seems like with everything going on, we're not quite able to make things come together. Tasty Minstrel Games is known for making Yokohama and other games. And I wonder if we're going to see more sad news like this because of ongoing printing and shipping woes.
Oh yeah, this might just be the beginning of seeing these type of problems, like you were saying, because a lot of these like smaller companies that started out probably late, like 2017, 2019, and then suddenly hitting the wall that is the pandemic. That hey, it's still going on. Please get vaxxed. But it's something to say. At least I will say, to the credit of TMG, they're doing their due diligence and trying to make it right by everybody. Yes, unfortunately, a lot of people are losing their jobs, but they're still going back. And for all those people who did supported their various different campaigns, they're getting their money back. And, maybe it's just like, it's hard to get information just because everything, especially when it comes to like filing for loss of business and money, there's just a lot of legal things that you have to take care of first before you can actually say like, hey, officially, this is what happens. Yeah. But I do feel like they are doing right. I feel more like just worried more about the employees of the thing, because you don't get like a 2 weeks. This is not like a layoff. This is something that's very sudden and like push. And especially during this time when it is hard to find jobs and hard to go out. I mean, yeah, depending on where you are, and you want to, and even if there are some jobs out there, you want it to be safe and not be in a position where you could get sick, you know?
Yeah. And I will say, even without the pandemic, the transition from a company that had a hit game or had a successful Kickstarter, going from that, from like usually an individual person or a couple of people who have made a successful Kickstarter game, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, transitioning to a company that does this full time and needs to keep making successful products is a very hard transition. I know creators who have made a Kickstarter be successful, even $100,000, even $200,000. Like, they don't make a lot of money from that. They don't have years, and they don't have $200,000. They have maybe $50,000, maybe $20,000, depending on how much it costs. And that might seem like a lot of money, but that's like, not if that was your whole job for a year. You know, it's not enough to support people. And, you know, maybe you have a hit game, but there's nothing to guarantee your next game will be a success. So yeah, it's tough out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so we're going to be, hi, welcome to Whiplash Central. We're going to be going pop, pop, pop. So we went up, down, and now we're going to bend you all the way up into the sky. We're just going to, leading with our savior, Jeeyon, you shall save us. Bend
Save us
up
from
on
woe.
high, from the low, emotionally bend us up.
Bend our hearts.
Yes.
Our hearts.
Let's talk about the new record-breaking Kickstarter, Avatar Legends, the tabletop role-playing game.
Avatar.
It is the highest funded TTRPG on Kickstarter to date. It is being created by Magpie Games, which has done a lot of other RPGs like Masks, Urban Legends, and The Root RPG, which is pretty recent. And it's like bumping out people like other Kickstarters, like the One Ring second edition, or that 5e supplement Strongholds and Followers from Matthew Colville. So there's like a lot of hype on it right now. I think it might have even gotten to 3 million.
Oh yeah, it's past.
Gosh.
It blew past 3 million.
Yeah, like I am like personally very, very invested in an Avatar RPG, because I love the idea of playing in that world that's so iconic. Like, I grew up with Avatar, like that last Airbender, and Bonza, you were talking about the live action film.
No, it didn't exist. It didn't.
Like what a letdown that was. You know what I mean? And they don't just stick to like Avatar: The Last Airbender, that series, but also The Legend of Korra as well, and beyond it, into the future, going back into the past. You get to play through different eras. You could choose which Avatar's era you want to play in. So you actually get to like be in the world of Avatar, and you get to choose, do you want to go into an era of like industrial revolution? Do you want to go into like intrigue and imperialism? It's got like way more nuance than I thought a property being adapted into an RPG could have. So there's all these different things that are really exciting and different about this one. It's going to be using the Powered by the Apocalypse engine. So you're going to have things like rolling d6s, usually 2, and based on certain stat bonuses that you'll get, you might end up getting a result that's perfect, great, succeed, no issues. Or you might get a result that's like, okay, you succeed a little bit, but there's going to be some consequences. You don't fully succeed. Or there's going to be like, okay, you failed, but you did okay. So maybe something good comes out of it, but for the most part, you didn't get what you wanted. Yeah. Lots of things like that from systems we already know. And a system that actually we're going to be talking about later, Powered by the Apocalypse, is very well known. So I feel like it's going to be not something where you have to start scratch from like a new RPG and learn all these new rules, unless you haven't actually played Powered by the Apocalypse. But a lot of people have. It's a very popular like system. Dungeon World and a bunch of others like Fate. You see a lot of these elements being re-implemented in different ways. So they introduced something called a playbook. And what the playbook is, it's like a template for your character. It's not exactly a class. It's more of like, here are some examples of how your character should work. But it's also like, this is the easiest way to get you to make your character, and then tweak this, tweak that, tweak that, tweak that. Change your class, change your character's personality, their appearance. All these things are customizable, but you end up getting a really easy to use template to start with, which is going to make things so much easier for new players to RPGs in general. So I think they made something that is familiar to people, for one thing, right? Because a lot of people have seen the show or the movie. And it's also got like really cool components and great art. I didn't even mention the dice. Oh my gosh, the dice.
Yeah, all the dice. Tell us about the dice.
There's basic dice and deluxe dice. I can't.
The deluxe dice are so good. Yeah. I mean, actually so good. They're like kind of metallic and rainbow, but not. It's more like this like dark style with all of like the air and the fire and all this other stuff. Which actually reminds me, another cool thing about the Kickstarter, about this RPG is you'd think like, oh, I'm just gonna like pick a bender and then like be that kind of bender, right? Well, yes, you could be a firebender if you want to. You could be the waterbender, right? But you could also just be like a swordsman from the Southern Water Tribe. You could be a technologist. I mean, that's so cool to me. Like you don't have to fit into these roles, and you are still just as important.
Yeah, which is an important part of the show, right?
Yes.
Like talking about how, and especially if you do watch the Legends of Korra, it's a central theme about how powerful benders are and how do we balance that and make people be equal in this world, like equality and just everything. And also, we talked a little bit about bending and abilities. This is the Powered by Apocalypse system, and usually how that's implemented, but specifically here, it's less mechanical. So if you're coming from a D&D and you're used to rolling a lot of dice and having combat be tactical but long, just like an hour or two, okay, I go here, I do this, like that's not at all what combat is going to be in here. You're not going to do very technical bending of, I'm going to try roll for my bending and like this thing is happening. I'm going to like roll to like lift this boulder and like move it over here. Like you can do that stuff. Like if you're that works a lot better with the show, right? If you're an earthbender, you can lift up, you can throw a rock at someone, it's not just like I failed to roll the rock. It doesn't make any sense, right? Which I think is really cool. Like I do like the tactics of Dungeons and Dragons, but it can get a lot and can get old. And this game is very different, and it's a very different property that is talking about it. So I think it makes a lot of sense the way that it's represented.
You bring up like something really important. Sorry, Bonzi.
No, go ahead. You go.
So one of the things that they really wanted to get across in this Kickstarter that's different about this RPG is the theming is way different than your typical like fantasy RPG. It's not about being a hero, accomplishing the task, getting the loot, slaying the dragon, any of that stuff. It's more about helping the society, the culture, the civilization, coming to people where they're at, meeting people where they need people to help them, really connecting with them and finding out how they need your help, rather than imposing what you think they would need for them to be helped out. I mean, I think this has more of a cultural feel to it, like it's stressing more of the importance of community.
Yes, absolutely.
Which what I thought was going to be as like a whole lot of whirlwind adventures and a lot of monsters to fight and big army battles and things like that is what I initially assumed, because that's a lot of what I saw in the show. But what they're trying to go for now is that you're plugging yourself in to this world in different time periods, and you get to see, like, depending on which era you play in, how the world is affected, how the world building is affected based on what's going on in the world at that time, what that what that specific country that you're in or village that you're going to is dealing with at that time. That's incredible to me.
Yeah.
Because as like a really long time veteran for D&D, the world building that I had to go through, I only really got into my stride recently. And I think one of the things that was really tough to learn is how is the world affected by different events? What are like the themes going on at that time period, and how is it like affected by like the technology's development at that time? There's so many different things to explore. It's really cool.
Yeah. Here's a question from chat, Jeeyon, that I think is really good for you. What are your thoughts on it for complete beginners? Nobody at the table has any RPG experience.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great question. Powered by the Apocalypse in general is so good at bringing people in to a role-playing game experience.
I second that.
Just on its own. Second of all, if you've like seen the TV series, or even if you haven't, you can use that as a resource here.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. Like with D&D, like they don't tell you what to do to research it. You have to ask your friends, like, oh, go read some Terry Pratchett novels, go watch Lord of the Rings or something like that. And you'll get like a general idea of it. But with this, you could just be like, hey, today we're going to watch an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender because I want you guys to have a good frame of reference for what things you can do in the game. And I think this one encompasses a lot of it. That's so cool to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think also just to add on to this note, correct me if I'm wrong, they also released some of the PDFs like to give people a little taste of what they were going to do. So
there's a quick start.
There's a quick start that you can look up to see if it is intimidating to you or not. I think I totally second anything that is powered by the Apocalypse is really easy for people to digest if they're not into role RPGs themselves, because it's got like a fail forward system is what I like to say. Like you can fail, but you can still get like going. It doesn't like completely slap you in the face and say stop. It says, all right, I see I tripped you, but you can still get back up.
Yeah. Well, that's been kind of one of my big pet peeves with Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, okay, I do this really cool thing. I'm going to I drop my sword, so this griffin is going to fly around. I'm going to take this cast iron pot out of my bag and like hit the griffin with it and knock it down, and I did all this work to come up with this thing. It's like, okay, roll for it. Yeah, that you don't do that. And depending on your DM, you can have a DM who does do it, but that's a lot of work for the DM. The system itself isn't necessarily built to make that easy. So it's like, okay, I came up with this cool thing and now it just doesn't happen. It's a bummer.
Yeah. I was gonna say let's not poo-poo D&D too much because I do love D&D.
I don't. That's when I first started. But I'm just saying, a
lot of it comes down to like the dungeon master, like you were saying. Yeah. It comes down to the group, just like you were saying. Yeah. But it also comes down to the system itself. Yeah. And yes, you're absolutely right. The system is designed for these kinds of stories more easily.
Yeah. Also really cool, diverse team, which I think is very awesome. So I want to give a shout out. A lot of awesome creators on here who are near and dear to my heart. But I won't call them out individually because there's too many of them, but you can go check it out.
Just go check it out. But yeah, just go. Oh, and also as an ending note, I looked at the Kickstarter as we speak. Oh, wow. The numbers are going up still. Sorry. I just saw, oh, okay. Wow. It went up another $100. Okay. So as we are speaking, it has, for 3 days up 3.15704, like basically over $3.1 million.
Yes.
and it's I'm like, oh, okay, I could no, all right, yeah, it's still going up. That's
fine. Yeah.
Jump on it. I mean, you got like plenty of time to jump on it, but like you should definitely do that before too many of the really good rewards are gone.
But you know what? It's okay, because that was our tabletop news that we wanted to get today. But hey, if you're on a budget, I think you should hear what Jeeyon has to offer at the bundle boss.
Amazing transitions. That's why. Yes. Okay. So today, on the bundle bossing, we have the bundle of holding. Bundle of holding, as always, you'll get some cool RPG stuff that you can use, and it's going to be directly supporting a charity that helps fight the pandemic. called Direct Relief, sending lots of protective gear and equipment to health workers, not just in the US and Canada, but all around the world, different agencies. So pick up some RPG stuff and help stop the pandemic. Okay, so this time around, we've got the Dungeon World third-party supplements bundle. You're going to get a lot of third-party supplements that you can use if you already have some Dungeon World stuff. I know I already do. And you wanted to add some more stuff to your repertoire. The Dungeon World bundle has a bunch of supplements that will add stuff to your collection that you can use by PDF. So you're going to get a bunch of characters, classes, a monster manual. The items are called Class Warfare if you upgrade. You can also get the Adventures on Dungeon Planet, Lair of the Unknown. Ooh, all these different mysteries. Who knows what you'll get? Yeah, so it's only $8 if you want to pick up $92 worth of RPG supplements. Or you can pick up just a little bit more for $16, just a little bit over $16. You'll get the bonus collection, in which case you'll get a playbook compendium called Class Warfare. And you'll also get, sorry, not called Class Warfare. You'll get a playbook compendium. It's got 526 pages of stuff that you can add for your characters, but also you get Terrors of the Ancient World and Class Warfare. So it's a bunch of monsters and a bunch of character options. It's a lot of stuff for you to add to your games. It's all DRM free, so you're totally free to move and copy them freely among all your devices if you play on tablet or if you play on the computer, like any of the tabletop RPG simulator, like Fantasy Grounds or Roll20. Its system, Dungeon World is basically powered by the Apocalypse and also uses a bunch of different platforms. So if you already have some Dungeon World stuff and you want to pick up some more third-party content, and you also want to help a charity, check out the bundle of holding. Super cheap, get lots and lots of content.
All right, thank you very much for that. Remember, bundle of holding. And now, hear ye, it is time now for the Kickstarter court. And I say that, Jeeyon, please tell us what you are passionate about this week.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Tell me about the game you stole from me. No, just kidding.
What?
No, I distinctly
remember asking if anybody wanted this, and you said like, "Oh, don't Jeeyon, go ahead, follow your passion." No,
I have other ones too. So.
Okay. Synchronized as a Kickstarter ending in 3 days on Monday. It is a memory game. A lot of people have a lot of different feelings on memory games. I understand that. It's totally fine. But in this game, you either split up into 2 teams or you can play with 2 or 3 players as a cooperative game. What you do is you get these 2 decks of cards and you get these routines, which are represented by a set of cards that are played out. And then whenever you think you've memorized the routine, you flip all the cards over and you'll start playing cards down where you think they're supposed to go. So you get to score points based on whether or not your swim routine matches the one that it was supposed to be. And it has a variable number of cards that you can play out if you want to change the difficulty, or if both teams are scoring perfectly every single round. And it's a pretty cool game. I think it's really cute. I haven't seen this kind of, I guess, theme used as a board game before.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So it's very unique.
Yeah.
And I think it has some really cool designers as well, including Emily LaRoche and Anna Marie Jackson Phelps, who I believe Emma told me is a local designer.
Is now local.
Yeah.
Yes. Anna Maria, awesome industry person who has done a lot of cool stuff for board gaming and might have done a lot of the videos and reviews that you know and love. These are people who've tested in, full disclosure, my personal playtest group. I didn't get to test this one specifically, but have played a lot of other awesome games by Emily. I'm just very excited to see this one be successful. Woo!
Well, I didn't know that. Well, dang. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I think this game looks really good. Definitely check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Now, with 26 days left, ending September 1st, you ever wanted to play a game, a competitive card game that, you know, you're like, ooh, Mad Max, I like that, but I wanted a 2-player game, and I just want to beat up my other friend in Mad Max Road Fury style? Well, do I got the game for you. It's called Dust Biters. Like I said, it's a competitive card game where you are 2 people with your 2 gangs of like running over the hills, gas guzzling monster truck people, and you're fighting against this like giant dust storm. It's a total of 21 cards, and each player like places down a card in their game. Each of these cards have special abilities, either pushing up a car, dropping down a car, whatever the case is. Every car, as the end of the turn of these, like the 5 cards that you place down, the last card will always be get eaten by the giant dust storm that is about. So the whole idea is that you're trying to get all of your crew to be the last ones in a row. So it's just a fun, silly game. It has like very like, I'm a very big person when it comes to like art style. This is a very like tattoo kind of like road rage kind of art. And if you wanted to know some of the indie, like these are actually a bunch of game designers, like video game designers that are kind of jumping into the physical game designing world. Some of them, you might know them from Nuclear Throne. This is some of the like the examples of these games that they have made. Gorn, and also Genital Jousting, if you might know that game as well. So as you can see from those list of games, they're kind of humor that you're gonna kind of expect from these gameplays. Beautifully illustrated, very straightforward rules, simple, and it just seems like a very fun, quick and easy game that you can kind of like sit down and slap down and have fun with. And yeah, if you guys want to check that out, it's Dust Biters. Ta-da!
I love that there's so many like video game designers going into the art for this, because I actually recently played Disc Room, and it looks just like it came like right out of Disc Room.
Yeah.
I think making it a 2-player game is really cool too. I don't think that there's a lot of like super high in-depth 2-player games, and this one just looks like right up my alley. Super silly. I love the art, and also I love this guy who's on this giant what is it? It must be a car with teeth on it or something. It's ridiculous. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah. 2-player games can be kind of a hard sell from a design and publisher perspective. People usually want it to be 2 to 4, so it's more flexible. But I think if you keep it to 2, you can really nail the mechanics of that. Yeah. So I always like to see a good 2-player game. Up next, we have Milhuet. Ending in 1 day tomorrow, so you got to jump on this one if you're interested in it. It's a tarot-esque game about being psychics and calling out someone's future using images on cards. So I love the idea that they're taking tarot and spinning it around to be a game. Very light mechanics. Basically, how it works is you get cards, instead of being the tarot with lots of complex art, Milhuet, I think it comes from silhouette, because it just has the outline of a bird or a shrimp or a taco maybe, or the Grim Reaper. So you get 2 of these cards, and the person whose fortune you're telling will give each player a card as well. So you'll have 3 cards, and you have to tell a short story about their future. You know, if it's a shrimp and a boat and like a lighthouse, you may say like, you're going to turn into a shrimp in your afterlife, and then you're going to be caught by fishermen in a boat, and you're going to be served for dinner in a in a lighthouse restaurant. I don't know, something along those lines of like, you're each telling a funny story specifically about the one person, and they choose their favorite. So very light, very silly. Just the aesthetics of this one are a really cool one for me. I love a lot of these games that are coming out of, let me double check where this one is from.
It looks like it's from Japan, if I'm correct.
I believe it's from Japan. I just want to double check. Korea, Japan, a lot of these places are just making amazing, beautiful, beautiful games. And I've been getting more. Wink Games is another one from a similar region where it's just, like, really
I was just
cool
gonna
stuff.
say, this is like is giving me like real Oink Games vibes, just from like the shape, and maybe I can't even tell the size of the box is the same, but like, oh yeah, tarot cards. So yeah, it must be. Yeah.
Small boxes, like I just
minimalistic
and simpler rules, but like a lot of gameplay and a lot of fun. Like the Insider, Jeeyon, that you showed to us, that's an Oink game, small box, just a lot of fun and just fascinating mechanics fit into this, and I just love it so much. So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out. Milhuet. We're gonna post, we posted the link there because it's a little hard to spell, but yeah, check it out. It ends tomorrow.
Ooh.
All right, so we got another really cool Kickstarter. I've been super excited about this one. It's only got 5 days left. It's called Oros. So in Oros, you take on the role of a demigod in a world that is constantly shifting, constantly changing, because you are going to be moving and adding and removing and rearranging everything on the board as you play. So this is looking like a very kind of heavy looking game because there's so much stuff that you can do in it. I mean, demigods, they have a lot of responsibility, right? So AESC, this is their first game that they've done. It's their first Kickstarter. And they have made something really, really pretty looking. So the game board itself, you'll get like a ton of components, and there's just like a ton of pieces all over the place, a ton of tiles for like moving around and stuff like that. Adding volcanoes and adding mountains and like tiles just like bumping and crashing into one another, because you're repositioning these things. So you're trying to make the world shaped the way you need it to in order to get as many points as possible. So there's like some cool pieces. There's some cool art on it already, but you can get the collector's edition and upgrade it so you get wooden pieces. And this really cool custom insert for all the sorting. And you guys know how I feel about good organization in board games.
Nice.
I literally have 20 different broken token organizers that I built. So it looks really cool. It's got a really cool story. A quote from the Kickstarter is, "The wise one, immortal keeper of wisdom and knowledge, has sent demigods endowed with earth-moving power to the far reaches of humanity." That's so cool. You can even try it out on Tabletopia right now. If you haven't heard of Tabletopia before, it's a tabletop simulating type service that you can use in your browser. And if you pay for a subscription to it, then you can invite your friends and they can play for free. And you could just try out the game, see if you like it before you back the Kickstarter. But remember, you only have 5 days left, so be careful. Don't wait too long.
All right, this one does sound kind of cool. Did you back this one, Jeeyon?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I usually back like 90% of the Kickstarters that we talk about on here because I really can't help myself.
Yeah.
They're surprise gifts for your future self. That's
yes. With all the shipping stuff, delaying everything. I anticipation.
Yeah, usually these more component heavy games, I'm like a little skeptical, especially from designers that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, I don't know, it's really hard. It can be really hard to pull something like this off. But with the tile placement and like rebuilding the world, this one does look pretty cool. So yeah, I have to check this out on Tabletopia. Ooh. All right. Bonsai, you spoiled it.
I'm sorry. I went autopilot. I didn't mean to. I was just like, gotta fill this in for when.
Anyway, it wouldn't be a Friday episode of TableTakes without a dice Kickstarter. JV and I fought about talking about this one. I eventually won. We negotiated. JV got synchronized, and I got the Pioneer dice, the world's first Mars-themed dice. I apologize to anyone who is trying to stay on a budget, to anyone who is trying to put on blinders so they don't get to see any Kickstarters, so they don't back them. I'm putting this into your ears, and you will go look at it and you will buy these dice because they are amazing. 19 days left, ending Thursday, August 26th. You can press the little save button, think about it, budget a little bit for these dice. I love dice, but I love weird dice. And I'm not a fan of complete dice sets that are all look the same. I know other people really like that, but I just want the weirdest and most unique dice. So this checks all those boxes. It is a set of 7 dice that are all different. They're all Mars themed. So the D4, the D6, the D20, and the percentage dice are all spaceships. The dice are spaceships.
If you haven't clicked on the link already to look at these,
they look very
nice. You should be clicking on it right now.
They look solid.
They spin, and then that is the number. Like the wizard hat dice that I have, it's a little different. It's a little weird, but super cool. And then the D8, the D10, and the D12 are storage containers or like habitat, living quarters. Super cool. And best of all, if you like containers for your dice, you can get these at the deluxe level inside a spherical container that is Mars. It's a sphere made to look like Mars, and it sits and it kind of wobbles. It has magnets to keep it closed. All of your awesome dice go in there. These are metal dice. There's different paint colors you can get. I can't. I just like Jamie and I were looking at Kickstarters the other day, and we just.
I know when I found out that they were like made of zinc alloy, I'm like, oh, metal dice.
It looks so good.
Because Emma, you and I have some of the same wizard dice. You know, like the wizard hat that you spin, like a teardrop that you roll and stuff like that. Like those are all made of like I think plastic or something. Which I mean, the design super cool, but not as cool as metal dice. I mean. And magnets inside Mars.
Yeah, the D4 is a rocket ship.
Yes,
it's a rocket ship. It's so
Mars
nice.
It's so cool. You could like you can open it up like a Pokeball. And it's like look at all my dice.
That is.
These are metal.
So you're welcome, everyone who likes dice. Pro tip, don't ever go to Kickstarter and just search for live projects with dice, because at any given time there's a lot.
There's so much.
Like I only see a couple because they like someone sends them to me or something, but if you go on Kickstarter, like any month, any day, there's like 20 live Kickstarters for dice, and just like they're all so good. I can't.
So good.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for this.
Thank you for making everyone poor in chat. But hey, you know what that means? That was the end of our Kickstarter. But wait. We're more than just TableTakes here on Gen Con TV. We also have a bunch of other shows on here as well. So this is the roster for our shows this week. Keep in mind, these are all Pacific Standard Times because we are in Seattle, or Washington State, yes, not Washington, D.C., because I always have to, people get confused sometimes. Starting with Monday, 6 p.m., we got Brothers board game with Brothers Murph. Like I said, they're brothers. They play board games together. And what's better way to bring family closer by playing board games that you can start throwing at each other from across the room? No, they're actually really good and really funny. You should check them out. And they are on Monday, 6 p.m. Wednesday, we got 10 a.m. This game gets dicey. It's two friends playing board games, but instead of them being in the same room, they are trying to play board games from across the way. You know, this is kind of like, hey, how good are these board games for people who, like now in the pandemic times, can't necessarily be in the same room with each other? Well,
sounds pretty dicey.
This seems dicey indeed. Spot on, Jeeyon. But yeah, so they're at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. You can go ahead and enjoy them. A bunch of also lovely people, personalities, and great people to game with. On Fridays, of course, you get to see our lovely faces here on TableTakes, and we give you all the spicy tabletop news and works and everything. And unfortunately, right, next week, no, Emma, we're not going to be seeing you because so long. Emma's going to be basking under the Hollywood sign with artichokes flying around.
Just pile up, swimming in artichokes.
Living the California lifestyle. But yes, thank you, everyone. Remember to follow and subscribe here on Twitch or on YouTube. We also have a Discord if you want to go ahead and join and talk to more fellow Gen Con fans. There, you can check out our Discord as well. If you miss us live here on the stream, that's why I said, hey, subscribe to our YouTubes. All of our shows will be ported onto YouTube 24 hours later. I wanted to thank all of you in chat, and especially Aoki, Jeeyon, and Emma for joining, and also behind the scenes, Arthur, thank you for leading. Yay, Arthur.
Thank you for having me on again, by the way. I always have so much fun, but it's like a huge workout for my face because I'm always smiling so much.
We love having you on here. It's so good. And we do have someone to raid. I found another person.
Oh, we do have somebody to raid. So, hey, if you guys stick around, we're going to be raiding. Do you want to go ahead and tell them the name that we're going to be raiding?
Board Gamer Steph. I think if Arthur can get that set up and press the button, we're ready to go.
All right, then. You guys have a lovely weekend. Stay good and hydrated. Remember, wear a mask, wash your hands, and then drink water and walk around. Bye.